Good morning. I'm Donovan Maccabee, Minister of Spiritual Formation here at Woodmont Christian Church. It's wonderful to connect with you via the magic of the interweb during these days of social distancing. You know, Nashville is a celebrity spotting paradise of a town. I've seen Carrie Underwood at Cracker Barrel, Vince Gill at Noshville. But who hasn't seen Vince Gill at Noshville? I mean, really, he's there so often, you begin to wonder if he and Amy just don't keep breakfast food at the house. I've seen Faith Hill at Starbucks, Keith and Nicole at Starbucks. I've seen Taylor Swift at Starbucks, Ricky Skaggs at Starbucks, and at an Indian restaurant. Who knew that bluegrass and tiki masala go so well together? I've had all these celebrity sightings and so many others, but none of them really excite me. I love all those people's work. They're all talented and I'm sure lovely folks, but I never get at all excited to see celebrities. I've never tried to snap a picture at any of them because honestly, I just don't care about seeing famous people. Except there's one exception. There is one and only one exception. And that's a man who, when I see him around town, I get more excited than most of my family members get at a Kentucky Fried Chicken buffet. And that man is Mr. John Prine. One of the first days after I moved to Nashville in 2009, I was sitting at a coffee shop in Hillsboro Village when I looked out the window to see a man walking slowly up the street, his arm intertwined with a somewhat younger woman's. I look and I go, oh my gosh, that's John Prine. I didn't know her name at the time, but the lady he was with was his wife, Fiona, so there wasn't any funny business going on, in case you were wondering that. Well, I thought, yeah, if you can be drinking your coffee on a random weekday and see John Prine walking up the street, yeah, I think I'm going to like Nashville. Since then, I've seen him all over the place, with one of his kids at the ice cream shop Maggie Moo's when it used to be across from the Green Hills Mall. I've seen him at Chipotle, but for ages I never did the thing where you bother a famous person. I thought, dude's with his kid getting an ice cream. Leave him alone. Dude's out getting himself and his kid a burrito bowl. Leave him alone. So I did. And I just basked in the fact that I had stood within 4 feet of a veritable Americana songwriting god. He's that good. He really is. You might be wondering at this point why I'm taking all this time as part of our church's online COVID-era devotional to talk about John Prine. Well, it's because over 2 weeks ago, Mr. Prine was taken to the hospital with complications from COVID-19, and he spent the last week and a half on a ventilator. When I read the tweet from his family announcing this, I was gutted for them as they care for their husband and their father, and for all the close friends of his who live in this town and all over the place. And I was gutted for myself and for all the people who find in his songs roadmaps to the beauty and the difficulty and the strangeness of living in these times. Last week when I first heard the news, I sat on my back patio that night, closed my eyes, and prayed for Mr. Prine and for his family as they love him in these hard days. Prine's music has been my soul's music for around 2 decades now. My earliest encounters with his songs were with Paradise and Angel from Montgomery. Paradise tells the story of the community where his family came from in Kentucky, of the strip mining that laid bare the land and destroyed the beauty of the natural landscape. Angel from Montgomery, what can I say about a song that speaks so eloquently of the daily agonies and loneliness that so many people feel from the perspective of a neglected wife who longs for connection and longs for escape. Prine songs can be somehow dark, funny, whimsical and melancholy, all at the same time. As I've thought about his song so much over the past week, and about him fighting for his life in a hospital bed, I've thought also about the ways his music can speak to us in these moments when we're feeling isolated, a little hopeless, and perhaps even tempted to give in to despair. One of the first lessons I think we can glean from his work is that we are always free to take joy in the beautiful bizarreness of just being alive. Prine's songs celebrate everyday absurdities and strangeness. They observe the world with a winking eye and a playful smirk. From the speaker in Illegal Smile, who asserts that a bowl of oatmeal tried to stare me down and won, to the image of the speaker in That's the Way the World Goes Round, finding himself frozen, stark naked in a bathtub full of water because the radiator heater broke and the water all froze. Look around you, folks, Prine's songs seem to tell us. This world is strange and odd and somehow beautiful because of its strangeness. Let's look around and celebrate that. The second lesson Prine's body of work reminds us is that suffering is an inevitable part of life, and we need each other just to make it through. One of his earliest songs, Sam Stone, tells the story of a Vietnam vet who gets the lip service of being a hero, but gets caught in a spiral of addiction that costs him his family, his home, and ultimately his life. Another early song, Hello in There, talks about the loneliness of aging and laments the ways our culture celebrates youth yet shies away from the wisdom of its own elders. In addition to reminding us to take joy in the beautiful bizarreness of just being alive, and in addition to reminding us that suffering is an inevitable part of life and we need each other, I think Prine's music and even his life itself reminds us to find the deeper songs of our own hearts and to keep singing them in the good times and maybe especially in the bad. In the late 90s, Prine was diagnosed with cancer on the right side of his neck. The ensuing treatment and surgery removed a portion of his neck and required a year of therapy for him to learn to sing again. In 2013, he was diagnosed with a different cancer, this time in his lung. This required him to have a section of lung removed. Now, when we think of folks who make their living singing, we could be forgiven for thinking that missing part of your neck and part of a lung might end your singing career. But not Prine. He has weathered storms, and he has kept on scribbling out stories, picking his guitar and singing his songs. There is joy, and there is beauty in the bizarreness of this life we are gifted with. Suffering will always be part of our lives, and we need each other, especially during these times. And like Prine, there's a song deep within each of our hearts that only our own weathered voices can sing. My encouragement for you today is to embrace the strange beauty of each moment, to let us be present for one another in these days with love and compassion, and let each of us listen deep down for the song we need to be singing, for ourselves, for one another, and even, might I suggest, we sing our song also as a humble hymn of praise back to our Creator. May our prayers as a community this day be lifted up for John Prine and his family and friends. May they be lifted up for those nearest us who themselves are hurting. May they be lifted up for our healthcare workers and policymakers. And may all our prayers converge as they rise as a chorus of lament and joy to God. Amen to all of that. Love y'all. Take care.